Good morning, church family. I don't know if you can see behind me, but there's some baby geese. Isn't that cool? There's some baby geese. I don't know if I can stay in one spot long enough, but it's just so cool to be out on the bay. Today I'm on Kempenfelt Bay, and it's a little rough. It's a little rough, but that totally puts into perspective what I want to talk about today, which is the phrase, be still and know that I am God. Today I went for a drive after church, and I saw this beautiful property, and it was like filled with dandelions, so it was all yellow, but it was beautiful, and trees and field, and I was like, oh, that'd be a really great backdrop for a devo. And so I was like, oh, well, I should probably ask for permission. Asking for permission is always a good idea. Always a good idea, all right? I don't like that statement where it says, you know, ask for forgiveness after the fact. That's a no-go for me. Anyways, so I turned and I went in, and the farmer was actually there, and I asked for permission. I said, hey, I do a broadcast every morning for my church. Would you mind? I actually called it a devo, and then I realized after the fact he may or may not know what that is. And he actually said, I don't think so. And I was like, no problem. Because I know that God works things out, right? So as a result, we actually had this really long conversation, and got chatting, and he told me what was happening with he and his wife, and I actually said, well, would it be okay if I prayed for you? And he was like, all right. So I had this opportunity to pray for this guy and his wife, which was so cool. And then I went on and I was like, Lord, what was all that about? And then I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll just get out on the water this afternoon and because, you know, be still and know that I am God. Makes sense, be on the water. And then I read the weather report, and it was supposed to be like really rainy and stormy. And I said, okay, well, what time is that supposed to happen? I was like, okay, I think I can get out there and do something before the rain comes. And so I actually looked up that passage, and it's in Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. And as I read the entire chapter, because that's really good, I want to encourage you to read things in context. Read the entire chapter, because it actually isn't about sitting and meditating on scripture and being quiet. It's actually about, in the midst of war, trouble, enemies, in the midst of all that, we need to be still and trust that God is in control. Because the first verse in that chapter is, God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in times of trouble. And it goes on to say, and so we will not fear, though the mountains fall, and though the earth may fail and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. I'm in my kayak, my Bible's not open. I'm trying to do that by memory. But you can read it because your paper Bible's open. But yeah, God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. And so we will not fear. We will not fear because He's our refuge and strength and ever-present help in times of trouble. So that's why we're supposed to be still. And it's not like sit and do nothing. It's stop striving, stop taking things into your own hands, release them to God. And sometimes we think, okay, I just means I stop doing whatever. And it's like, no, you ask God, what is it that you would have me do in this situation? Because I have a tendency to control and make things happen on my own. I know I just rolled my eyes because that's totally me. Because you can. And He's like, Jen, would you just do what I've asked you to do? Be still and know that I'm God. And I'm going to work this all out. So you don't need to control, you don't need to manipulate, you don't need to act out in fear. You just need to trust me. So keep going in the direction I've asked you to go in, and I'm going to work it out. I'm going to take care of the wind and the waves in your life. I'm going to take care of the enemies. I love Martin Luther wrote his famous Mighty Fortress is Our God. He actually wrote it about this hymn, or this psalm. A mighty fortress is our God. A bulwark never ceasing. And I don't know if you can see behind me, way there in the background, there are waves. But you can sort of see how there's, oh yeah, a little bit. But there, I would say it's a bulwark, but it stops the waves from coming up and eroding the ground. And that's kind of what God does. He stops the wind and the waves from coming up and eroding us. And he never fails. Like, he's not going to let our situation overwhelm us, because he loves us and he cares for us and he has good things in store for us. So when we talk about being still, it's not sit and do nothing. No, it's we put our hand in God's hands and say, what is it that you would have me do in this situation? How do I trust you? How do I release this situation into your care and your keeping? It's really wavy. Don't worry. Don't worry, I have my life jacket on. And so what's interesting, at the end of that passage, it changes persons. If you read the whole thing, I'm gonna see, maybe I can get I did bring my iPad, and it has a really solid case. And maybe I'll get it out and see if I can bring up the passage of scripture and just read it to you in the midst of the waviness. Okay, Bible. And it says, I'm waiting for it to come up. It's coming. It says, so it goes on to say, come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes war cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. He says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Right? God says of himself, be still, or God says to us, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted among the nations. Like, God is over all. God is over all. Pretty powerful, eh? Yeah.